And we're back.
What's up? I Don't Drink Coffee podcast. Ben Klein here, my beautiful co-host, Lucas Johnson.
Thank you
Thank
for that
you.
beautiful introduction.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here.
I'm going to sound
Every time I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I kind of feel like, honestly, I've always felt a little bit like a guest, not because you make me feel that way. It's just that, well, I mean, you have so much to do with like the production side of this thing, and you do all the legwork. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of feel like I'm just riding the wave. You know, I just show up, talk, and then bug you about getting it done. That's all. That's my only job, I guess.
It's very true.
So, you know, I kind of feel bad. But if you turned it over to
Don't
me
feel
to
bad.
edit and everything, it would be like never. We would have never gotten off the ground. So
Well, like I said, you know,
I would have found somebody to pay. I'd have been like,
Right.
hey, I need you to do this.
I'm getting a little bit of
What?
something in my. Can you hear anything?
No, everything's
Okay.
perfect over here.
Cool.
What the hell are we talking about?
I don't know.
I thought you wanted me to retell that every time I try to make a little short video to promote the podcast on social media, I screw them up. I do like 10 takes because I'll say something. I try to do it off the top of my head. Whenever I make one of those, I'm just sitting there and I think, you know what, I need to do a little video just to, you know, remind people that the damn podcast is still out there. So I'll just, whatever I'm thinking about, something dumb or something silly or whatever, I'll just say it. Well, a lot of times I'll come up with something that I think is funny, and then, but I can't script it. You know what I'm saying? Like once I've said it, I feel like it's said. So I'll say something. One time I made one that was pretty long. I know I have a minute to say whatever I'm going to say, you know, for Snapchat, or not for Snapchat, but for Instagram. Yeah, I got a minute. So I'm watching my time real close. So I'm like, da, 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 and I said something funny because it was kind of like, I was like, da, 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 I was marching through it real fast. And I go, and you got to listen to the I Don't Drink Coffee Codcast. And I was like, oh my God. I even had the video at one time of me doing that at the end of it.
See, I just
Oh,
laughed
my
for no reason.
God.
Yeah, and I told you need to go ahead and put that in there.
It's stupid, dude. It's like, it ruins the whole thing. You know what I mean?
No, it don't ruin it. It makes it better.
No, dude.
Yes.
It's like,
Dude,
it makes me look like a
hilarious.
buffoon. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
it don't. We all fumble our words, do we not?
But I do it. That's why, if you pay attention, whenever I say the phrase, the name of this podcast, I Don't Drink Coffee Podcast, I have to slow down between coffee and podcast, or I will switch the P and the C every time.
Well,
I don't know why.
You haven't been saying I don't drink coffee for I've been saying it since Josh said it in 2003.
Well,
So when that was the big joke, was I would go to a restaurant and she would say, and what do you want to drink? You know, she'd take everybody's drink order and she'd get to me and I'd say, I don't drink coffee. And she's like, you know, and everybody would laugh and it was funny, you know, and I would say it in other instances and stuff. And that's how it was brought to me by Josh. You know, he said it in the middle of nowhere and I busted out laughing and I ran with it from then on.
Well, let's see.
I took it over.
For me, it was
Oh,
funny.
Gosh. You just get called into
No,
work.
no. It's Gavin. For me, you know, being around you, you would say it periodically.
Yeah.
You know, just randomly, and that's what when we were trying to think of a name. You know, we went through this story before. We tried a million different names, couldn't think of anything. And I was sitting there thinking, dude, what's something that's kind of like a thing or in our little group, you know, that we
Right.
talk about, or something that we say or whatever. And I was sitting there thinking about it, but I wanted it to be, you know, because we have such an odd humor. I guess it's not odd, but it's not average. I guess the way we think things are funny is a little different than some people. So I was like, what's something that we say that's just weird, you know, or it's just, it doesn't make any sense, because you know, we kind of don't want it to make sense. We're trying to do this the way we do things, not the way other people do it. And then it just popped in my head that you say that, you know, just to anything. That was another thing that was cool about it, is you can say it to anything that's said.
You can
'Cause
be arguing with somebody.
Yeah, I've heard you do it.
And they'll say whatever they got to say, and then you go, I don't drink coffee.
Well, and the beautiful thing about it is it dead stops the conversation. Like there's
Yes.
nowhere to go.
And
That is El Endo. You know what I'm saying?
I've done
El
it.
Endo? I don't know. But anyway.
I've done it online with playing games online, and and it's funny, and we don't even get to see the look on their face,
Yeah, because they're going, what
but
is
it's
that?
very funny, and some of these people you don't even know what they look like, but they stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I did for the first several
What?
times I heard it. I'm like,
What
what?
did you say that for?
Yeah.
But that type of thing. Anyways,
Man.
so
We're all about throwback tonight. We're
I
talking
know
about the beginnings and introducing and all this crazy stuff.
we just did a Facebook Live video. I'm sure some of you've seen it.
It was fun. I had fun.
It was very fun. When I brought the idea to LJ, he said he was a little bit scared about it, but I said, "You're the one that brought it up to me that you wanted to do a live podcast." And just a few weeks ago, and to the very beginning of the podcast, you're like, "No, dude, it's not a good idea to do a live podcast." And I kind of agreed with you, but
then since then, I've kind of
Yes.
went back on that.
Yep. And so I thought, you know what? Tonight we can do a Facebook Live video. We can introduce ourselves to the group, our Facebook group. There's over 2,100 members. I'm not sure exactly how many members we have in there as of right now, but it
Yeah.
would be a good thing to kind of market on the podcast right now, how many members we have.
It's over 2,100. I know that because I just looked at it earlier today.
As of right now, it is.
We don't know. We don't have any idea.
How do you? Oh, yeah. 2,183.
God,
And what is today? January 10th?
I think so. Yes,
So January 10th.
almost the 11th.
Almost the 11th. 2,183 in the group. So we have this Facebook group. We went live in there. If you're not in the Facebook group, it's a great group. You should join it. Even if you heard our rant about it last week, it's still a great group.
Yeah, it's still going strong.
A lot of friends, a lot of people that we don't know, and that contribute. And so we're very appreciative of that. But we did this Facebook Live group and an unboxing of a gift that Flip sent us from Seattle.
Yeah, if you don't know, he's been on Skype. He Skyped into our podcast twice.
Yep, twice.
So
He's
kind
not
of
the
a-
only group or only guest we've had on twice. Trent's been on twice.
right. Well, I just mean he's one of the
I know.
friends of the podcast.
Right.
You know?
Friends of the podcast. So he sends us a picture or a picture. He sends
Oh,
us.
okay.
I thought it was going to be a picture because that was when I was starting my business, Blackline Insurance Group. Visit blacklineinsurancegroup.com. When I
Every time.
it was on purpose.
I hear it in my sleep.
But
Go ahead.
When I started my business, that was the joke between Flip and I and the guys that we play online with. Flip was like, "Dude, you need to on your first day of business, you need to put up a picture of me, employee of the month." And that's very funny to me and
Mhm.
him and everybody else. We all, and it was playing. We all laughed about it and everything. Like I said, or like you said, our humor is a little odd because I don't know if a lot of people would think that's funny, but I thought it was hilarious.
Well, it's just like just now, for some reason, whenever you said visit blacklineinsurancegroup.com,
Mm-hmm.
in
Thank
my own mind, after you said it,
Thank you for that.
it went right to the tune of farmersonly.com. That's exactly what went through my head for some reason. And it's never done that. That's
Really?
the first time ever.
First time?
I was just like, blacklineinsurancegroup.com.
First time for everything.
So anyway,
So he sent us a shirt. I thought it was going to be a picture of him.
yeah, it was
So we could put
it's in reference to the fact that the Sonics left Seattle and came to Oklahoma City to be the Thunder. And he's from Seattle. He doesn't appreciate
We
it.
still don't appreciate it.
No,
It's an empty building, I guess. Or is it a hockey arena or something?
I don't know.
What I do know, it's not the
Well, you got to think about
Supersonics.
it like this though. If the shoe was on the other foot, if the Thunder were to pick up and leave and go to another city, everybody'd be mad about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now they have a football team up there, and they got other stuff. That's our only professional sport in Oklahoma is the basketball team. So it would be a bigger, gut
Besides
punch
the
here than-
Sooners football.
Yeah. Of course, yes. So,
Anyways, so I got that out of the way. We talked a little bit about the Facebook Live video in our group, and we're going to leave it in the group, I think, maybe, until I go watch it and see. We just watched a little bit of it, and I sound like a total hick in that video.
yeah, all
Like
the
I'm-
time.
Like
though.
I'm from Oklahoma. I know, but
You're way more hick than I am. You know, that's funny to me. That's really funny that you have more of an accent than I do.
Well, sometimes I just can't control it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
For
know.
the most part, when I was in Massachusetts one time, well, I've been there a bunch of times. But anytime I go out of the
Bunch of
state, but
time.
one time in Mass, I was up there. Yeah, a bunch of times. I was in Mass and I was talking to my client, for about 30 minutes. I was 30 minutes into the conversation and finally they go, "Oh, I heard it. You're not from here, are you?" I said, "No."
The whole time they were sitting there going, "This
Nobody ever
guy's from
guesses
Texas
Oklahoma
or
though.
something like that."
Yeah, they always
Everybody
go
always
south.
thinks you're yeah.
Well, when you're in Massachusetts, no one's going to guess Oklahoma. They're going to guess like South Carolina, North Carolina, the states that are
More
south of them.
yeah.
And then when you tell them Oklahoma, they're like, "Where's that at?" Oh, is that by Ohio? I'm like, no,
It's
just
only
because
where
it starts with an O doesn't mean it's by. I did have a guy tell me that one time. Isn't that close to Ohio? I said, it's nowhere near Ohio.
What state is this man from? Did he not have to learn his states in grade school?
He was in Massachusetts.
Jeez, are you
Yeah.
kidding? Well, shout out to the Massachusetts school system, okay, for nobody knowing where the states are.
Well,
I'm not saying, 70% of the people that are country music singers are from Oklahoma, for Christ's sakes. So maybe you would at least know where it's located
right.
in the United
Somewhat.
States. If you're
In the
from here,
vicinity.
I mean, is he like an ISIS operative? I mean, is this
Well,
man planted here or
What
something
I
like
don't
that?
get is I can see like if you can't point out like Rhode Island or somewhere like that on the map, but
Because there are small states in a little group up there. Yeah,
well,
that's
and Texas is what, the biggest state or one of the biggest
well,
states.
it or Alaska one. I don't know which
So,
one's bigger, but
I mean, everybody knows where Texas is. So when you look at a map of Texas, you should see Oklahoma
directly north.
Directly north. But anyways, I don't know why I talked about all that. What was I talking? Oh yeah, my Oklahoma accent.
Yeah, you're
It's-
hit
yeah.
real bad,
Mhm.
and I am too, man. I mean, but I was raised that way. I mean,
I don't like it. People are like, be proud of where you're from. I'm very proud I'm from Oklahoma, but
I can't stop it. I get to where I don't think about it. I'm just talking. You know what I mean?
I
just
don't think about it either
I just
until I watched
da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
the Facebook Live video that we just put out and some of the words that I threw out there. And then I said, what'd I say? Comedy?
Oh, I said gussied up. You didn't like that.
You did say gussied up, and I made fun of you for it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you know what though? Everybody else is going to be going.
but what did I
"Ben,
say
you're a
about
jerk."
comedy? I said something. This is comedy, or
I don't remember.
it was stupid.
It was.
I didn't use it in the correct form at all.
It was funny.
Not that I didn't know that. I knew I messed up when I did it.
I don't know. I mean, it's. I'm used to it by now with you, but anyway. So
You would think as much as I hate myself, I wouldn't put myself out there like I have.
I don't know why you hate yourself so much exactly. I don't know where this comes from, dude. I mean, it's not like you're fooling anybody. It's like me wearing a t-shirt in a swimming pool. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no one's gonna think I got abs underneath this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But you still wore a
You're
t-shirt.
not
in the
saving
pool, didn't
anybody.
you?
No.
Oh, you had your shirt off when you went to
Yes.
the water park?
My little stool. My little story where this lady fell over me. Yeah.
You were
And
shirtless?
wiped her midsection over my forehead. Yeah. There was no shirt on.
And gesture's the same as it was when you told the story.
It's the truth. It's a fact.
hilarious.
No, it sucked.
Hilarious.
I'm surprised it didn't squeak. You know what I'm saying? She gave me a good wipe. Okay. Right over the top. And acted like nothing happened.
Quit making me laugh.
That's the
man.
thing
She
that
was
sucked
probably-
about it.
Maybe she was mortified. I don't know.
I think maybe it happens all the time.
She just
It was the first for me.
She's thankful you were there because it broke her fall. Right?
Oh, I definitely did. I think it hurt my neck. You know what I'm saying? I could probably sue this lady.
If you don't know what story we're talking about, go and listen to it on a previous episode. What was the Lucas visits the LJ?
Yeah, the
visits
water
the water
park.
park. Yeah,
Yeah.
water park. It's a very funny episode, I think.
Very true is what it is. I mean, I can't speak to funny, but it's very true. The fact.
You see me? I shaved tonight because I knew that we are gonna do this. I didn't want to go looking scruffy, even though I don't. But my neck, I like to keep shaved. I like to keep it shaved.
What are we driving at here?
Well, I'm just any razor burn.
Nobody would have paid any attention.
I hate razor burn.
You're bringing it up, dude. You know what I'm saying?
I
There's
know,
no
but
reason.
there's razor burn. I got in a hurry.
Well, you should have just left it. I don't know.
What do you
Aren't
use
you
to
going
shave?
for that unshaven look or whatever?
Not on my neck. I don't like hair on my neck.
Oh, what do I
Hate
use
hair
to
on my neck.
shave?
That's why it's like right here. I hate hair on my neck. I hate hair, period. If I was a good looking dude without hair, not saying I'm a good looking dude with hair, but I'm a way worse looking dude with
I don't think
without
about it.
hair.
I don't sit there and go, Ben looks pretty good. No, I don't think that.
I if I shave my hair off my face, you would say
Ben
we're
looks
not
like a
doing another
small child.
podcast until you let it grow back.
I think you could probably. You don't have to have that big goatee if you didn't. I mean, what's that doing? I mean, you just like it. I'm not mad about it. It don't matter to me one way or another. I'm just asking
I don't know.
because you haven't always had it grown out long like that. No.
No, but I have had it a lot longer than this though.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
A lot longer.
yeah. It looks real gross. Okay, it looks like what is that movie? Young Einstein looks like his hair on Young Einstein. You know that movie? Was it Young
Mm-mm.
Einstein? What's that? What's
I
the name
don't-
of that movie, dude?
I don't know, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, I've got razor burn.
You do know what I'm
I
talking
didn't,
about, you jerk.
Michael Pugh.
That was out of nowhere. Oh,
Michael
okay.
Pugh,
Okay.
back in the day, told me how to alleviate the whole razor burn thing. He told me because I was complaining one day to him. I was like, man, he's like, dude, you got to get in the shower and get it all steamy. Shave with warm water, open them pores up, and shave with conditioner. And so I shave with conditioner or lotion, but I prefer conditioner. I have shaved with lotion, but typically I shave with conditioner. And so he said, shave with conditioner and make sure you get in the shower. And when you get out of the shower, or if you're in the shower, make sure your pores are open, warm water, hot water, and you'll alleviate a lot of the razor burn. And it was like a light bulb, and I've never forgotten it. Never.
Still use that to this day until
Still
you got in a
use
hurry.
Exactly, unless you get in a hurry, and then
There's no time for this hot water, cold water business.
but you get out of the shower, you shave. How do you shave? And then splash with cold water,
No, I don't.
closes
I
the
don't
pores
have
up, and then you won't have any.
I don't
razor
do a
burn.
big system like that. And I shave my head. Often,
Do you shave with
2 or 3 times a week.
do you shave with shaving cream or?
No, I use conditioner usually.
Oh, okay. Because when I said conditioner, I thought you were going to laugh at me. I was waiting on it.
No, man.
Only because you do it. You didn't laugh.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes, I would have made funny on
So
some
anyways,
level, but I
it's-
can't because that's what I do.
If the video's catching any of the razor burn, that's what that's for.
Well, but now when it comes to shaving my head, I shave against the grain. It's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I shave my face, I do not shave against the grain
Why?
because it breaks me out. It
Oh,
cuts
okay.
it cuts it too short, and I don't appreciate it. I
Yeah,
don't
but
want
don't
any
you
of those.
like it baby skin smooth? Man?
It's not because by
is
that
not. Mine is.
afternoon, it looks like you're 13 years old,
Well,
pizza
it-
face.
It
You know what I'm
feels
saying?
good for now, but yeah, by the time I wake up in the morning, it's gonna be a little different story.
Yeah. So what's the point? You know what I mean? You shave with the grain, and it's smooth enough or whatever,
Okay.
and I don't ever have any problems.
What'd you have for dinner tonight?
What did I have for dinner tonight? We went to La Cabana.
Oh,
And I had La Cabana nachos with extra jalapenos.
I haven't ate there in a while. Was it good?
Yeah, it was good.
Is it as good as Gringos? Or
No,
then why would you?
sorry,
It's just different.
La Cabana.
Just something different though.
Yeah, I mean, we just change it up.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
yeah.
not picky on food though. I'm not like you. I don't ban places. You know what I mean? You like this? I don't go to Taco Bell. You know what I mean, or something like that.
I do go to Taco Bell.
I've just picked a restaurant.
I love Taco Bell, even though they did do away with the beef Mexi Melt, which I've eaten since I was like 6 years old, and they did away with they did away with the beef Mexi Melt.
What are you thinking about? Okay, then if you don't do that, what are you thinking about Pizza Hut in McAllister?
I think that if Sam Malone worked there, it would be top notch.
I love Samuel.
But Samuel Malone
Good
is
dude.
not there, and for some reason, now I've had Pizza Hut recently, even though
Shout out to Samuel Malone. Sam Malone. If anybody, That sounds like the bartender from Cheers, but
Yeah, Sam.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about him. We're talking about Samuel from Wilburton.
Yeah.
Good dude. Anybody that's from Wilburton knows who he is. So if you see him, tell him we're talking about him on I Don't Drink Coffee podcast.
Well, I'll tell you this is, he was at Wilburton Pizza Hut forever, and when he moved, I guess he moved to McAllister Pizza Hut for a while, and turned the beat around.
Yeah.
At McAllister Pizza Hut, their pizza was fantastic because Sam got there and was like, "What are you guys doing?
Mm-hmm.
This is not how it's going to go down." I don't know. I'm just paraphrasing. I'm sure.
Well, but I mean, like his dad, Butch. I mean, he always takes his job seriously. You know what I mean? He tries to do
Butch
a good
a long
job.
time, and I love Butch.
The last time I
One of
saw
the funniest guys I've ever met.
Yes, definitely. I saw him in
And
Wilburton
good-natured.
probably when I still lived there, though. That's probably been 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I talked to him for quite a little bit. We stopped in front of JR's there and we're like just talking. And I was asking him how all of his kids were doing. Everybody but Joseph, I didn't ask him about Joseph because I, for some reason, see Joseph periodically. So, but the rest of them I don't see very often.
I don't think Sam is still at Pizza Hut in McAllister. So it's
No, he's definitely not. I've been there,
it's
and there are
kinda-
people that I don't know working in there.
Yeah, and it's kind of went downhill again. But it's not. We had pizza there from the other day, and it wasn't bad.
Really?
But it wasn't Sam Malone pizza.
Yeah.
He should
From
open
Mayday
his-
Malone.
He should open his own pizza place.
Yeah. You could call it Sam Malone's, and I would always think that it was a throwback to Cheers.
Is that not a
Now
great?
that I've said it.
Is that not a great name for
Sam Malone's?
Yeah, Sam Malone's.
Yeah. I'd eat there if he was the one owning
All
it.
the time.
Mhm.
All the time.
Yeah, he knows how to do it. He knows how to-
Anyways,
Yeah. So Michael Pugh told you how to shave your face.
yeah, he did for real. He did. He gave me some awesome pointers that changed my life because I was doing it all wrong. Yes.
He and I were in the same class, right? Same age?
Oh, y'all were the same age?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was younger than you.
No. Same age, bro.
Oh, okay. Okay, my bad, bro.
One of the first people I met when I moved to Wilburton.
One of the funniest guys I've ever met.
He's funny. Definitely funny. He was one of those people, though, that always, I have nothing bad to say about him. He was, he could be confrontational sometimes.
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
well, yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Very funny dude.
Well, he didn't take crap off nobody,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that,
I never had anything, I never had any well, he was a lot older than me, I guess, so maybe that's why. But we did
Not
hang
a lot.
out when he got out of the military. Yeah, a lot. If
Not a
he's
lot.
your age, he was a lot.
so that's what, 5 years?
Oh gosh. Dude, come on.
5 years? It's not a
Anyways.
lot. Not when you're over 18 years old, 5 years is like a year. It's nothing.
Well, that's what you say.
Same
because you're
age. Because you know
way
what,
older than
dude?
me.
As far as everybody's concerned, you and I are in the same generation. Whenever high school kids look at us, we're the same. You know what I'm saying?
No.
If you told them our ages, they'd still be like, "Yeah, so same."
they look
same
at you
people.
like you might be their grandpa.
No, they
For
don't.
me, I could still be like their older brother.
Their weird perverted uncle or something like that. So,
yeah,
anyway,
man, shaving the hot water.
I shave my head in the shower and I shave my face at the same time. But as you can tell, I don't shave my face very often. So I don't have a system. Never really had very many problems with shaving necessarily.
Another thing that I want to talk about real quick is something I put on Facebook a few months ago or a couple months ago about the BP buck.
Ooh, yeah.
And the BP buck was a buck back in, I think it was like 2009, 2010.
I thought it was maybe further back than that, but go ahead.
No, I don't think so. It was during Israel's
Oh.
while he was sheriff of Latimer County. But
I don't know why I thought you were going to say it was during Desert Storm. I don't know why I thought you were going to say that. I'm hung up on that.
I don't know either. You're hung up on Desert Storm?
I don't know. I don't know why. Anyways, go ahead.
I'm sorry, man.
I don't know what happened to me. So the BP buck,
It was this
that you shot.
It was this monster buck, right? That
Huge,
hung out. giant.
you can Google it, by the way.
gigantic.
You
Yeah.
can get on the internet and Google BP buck and it will come up.
Right. It was a monster, and
I've seen it
hung out
alive.
right next door or right next to the BP headquarters in Wilburton.
BP America, the oil
Which is-
field company. Yeah.
Yep, which is north of Wilburton towards Robbers Cave State Park. Shout out to Robbers Cave State Park.
Shout out to BP. Shout out to BP Buck. Shout hashtag Wilburton. Hashtag
So-
Fushmaling Creek.
So as everybody knows, I was a reserve for Latimer County. I was on the SWAT team or CERT team, and I did work 2 days a week at the time, 2 or 3 days a week under Israel. I'd work a couple shifts a week.
Under who?
and-
What's his last name?
Israel Beecham.
Oh, okay.
He was Beauchamp, Israel Beauchamp.
I've heard it over the loudspeaker said that way at football games.
So Israel Beauchamp was the sheriff of.
At Wilburton, I've heard it
That-
said.
Really?
Yes, one
You think
time.
they did it just
I don't know.
joking around?
I don't know. It was when Daryl is who I heard it said one time.
Oh,
When
okay.
I'm the same age as Daryl. Go ahead. Anyway, sorry.
So there was this buck that hung out, right? A couple other big bucks too. You could go out there in the around 1 or 2 in the morning and look out there in the field, and you could see these bucks hanging around.
Now this is Oklahoma. I want to give a little bit of background to somebody that's not from around here. We have white-tailed deer only here. No mule deer, no elk. I mean, we've got some elk further out west in Oklahoma, but around here, whitetail. And these deer are what would be considered, a 170, 180 to, on up class. Big, nice white-tailed deer that hung out over here in the woods at the edge of town. Sorry, just trying to give some background in case somebody doesn't understand what we're talking about.
So we when we were patrol, I'm sure other deputies did the same thing. We would go out there and check on this BP buck at just different hours of the night.
Trying to get his patterns down so somebody could kill
So
him.
somebody could kill him, I
Yeah.
guess. And if you don't know, I don't hunt at all. So
Oh, they know.
yeah, they know. They're like, there's no way this guy hunts.
Manly stuff? No.
Right? No. So I'd go out there.
Shave
And
with conditioner? Yes.
I would.
Hunting for deer? No. You knew I'd work it
So
back
I
in
check
there
on this
somewhere.
buck all the time, right? And one night I went out there, and it wasn't there, and I had this weird feeling. And a few days later, I wake up, and I have a picture of this buck's head on my phone. Like I check my text messages, and bam, there's this buck's head, and it's labeled BP Buck. And it tells me a certain person that's close to me, family member, shot this buck. Don't tell nobody. It was a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But dude, I was infuriated. First of all, I grew up, gun safety and not shooting animals from a vehicle or poaching in any sort we were taught not to do that.
Yeah. Cardinal sin. Do not do it. Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden it was okay that this family member had shot this buck. And I was infuriated. I was very upset. And I called. I said, hey, you didn't teach us. I called my stepdad and I was like, I was mad. It's like, you didn't teach us this. This ain't right.
You said, I'm a cop. I'm an authority figure, and I'm really mad about this.
And he started laughing, and he's like, he didn't really, but he thought it was funny for a little while. But he's like, he didn't really, and I was like, no, don't.
You already said it.
Don't lie to me now, And he's like, Ben, it's all over the internet, He did not do it, So after I finally believed that he didn't do it and that somebody else did it, I called the game warden to talk to him. I called him from my back patio.
You had a
I
deep
said,
connection
"Hey."
to this beefy buck.
I did. And it was killed on my watch. It was killed while I was on duty. And I get it. Okay. I know it's not that big of a deal to everybody. They're like, really? You're mad because you didn't protect the deer. Okay. I get it.
If they know you, they know they're not surprised by what you're saying.
Right. So, anyways, I called him, and basically he didn't have much to say to me. He was like, I was like, do you have any, because as a fellow officer, basically is the way I looked at it. I'm like, hey man, I patrol a lot. I've watched this buck for months, and
It's
let
kind of
me,
part of the family.
if you want any help or if you need any help, I'm more than glad to help. He didn't want my help. He was like, well, basically, all you guys are a suspect.
Yeah, he's
And we found
investigating a
out later that
homicide.
he was right, and I was like, hey, hang on a second. I was like, I don't hunt.
Wouldn't be a
First of all,
homicide, I guess.
you
It'd be a
know,
deericide or
I said,
whatever.
I don't hunt. So you ain't got to worry about me. He's probably thinking, sure, that's what they all say.
Yeah,
But
that's what a man would say to throw me off track.
he wasn't real short with me. But when I got off the phone with him, I thought,
He thinks I
okay,
did this.
and I didn't know. It went around that other people in the department did it. It went around that another deputy did it. Of course, you hear all kinds of rumors, but are you getting called out?
No.
So you hear all kinds of rumors, and so even I didn't think any of our guys did it, but because especially on my watch, they would know that I might roll out there and catch them in the act. And I'm not gonna appreciate it. If I'd have caught a fellow deputy doing that,
Well, and even in our area, this deer was, he was his rack was uncommonly large, and he was not tame, but he was seen by everybody in this little area.
Everybody.
So he was a little bit famous around the area. I mean, so I could see why you'd have some concern about it. It's kind of something. It was more fun to observe it than it would be to have harvested this deer in particular,
right?
because he's just kind of like a little icon standing out there and not bothering anybody.
Yeah, because he wasn't worried about traffic or anything.
Yeah. But you got to know in this part of the world that
it was bound to
somebody
happen. I knew it was coming. That's why I watched over him.
Well, what's funny to me is,
or tried to anyway.
Without skipping too far ahead, though.
Well, I mean,
who did it turn out to be? I mean, I don't want to say names, but I'm just saying.
I couldn't tell you his name right offhand.
But he was from where was
not
it?
From
not even Worcester or something like that.
Yeah, not even from
it?
our county.
Yeah, he's from like south and east of us quite a ways.
He's from out of the county,
and that's how far the folklore or whatever had traveled about this deer. This dude knew about him.
Yeah,
and he knew to call it the BP buck.
And this was before. I mean, this is not before Facebook, but it's before Facebook was as big as it is now, of course.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. News traveled fast, and he came and got it while I was on duty taking another call.
Oh yeah.
I was on another call about the same time that he did it, because I had checked on it earlier that night and checked on it.
Would you guys go out there and spotlight it or something like that?
I would check on it around 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. in that time frame, for sure. Now sometimes 11 o'clock at night, but I would still go back and check on it again. I mean, I was patrolling. I wasn't, just hanging out there. I would just go out there, look out there. There he is. Go on. But anyways, I'm sure some other deputies have other stories. I know Ferguson was one of the deputies at the time, and I'm sure he was one of them that got blamed for it. I'm not sure. I can't really remember exactly, but I do know that it was going around that we were all basically suspects. And that's what the game warden told me over the phone. He goes, everybody that shared that picture right now, or everybody that has that picture on their phone, is a suspect. I said, well, I understand. I get that, And I said, hey, if you ever, if you need my help with anything, with the investigation or anything. And I told him that I've checked on it all the time. Not one time did he ever call me. But I'm sure he probably got a million leads right off the bat and was trying to work each and every one of those leads. And then it led back to the guy that did it. I mean, they caught him by I think the electric pole in his yard that was in the picture.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Like there's some numbers on it, and it's in the picture of just Google it, BP buck. You'll see they caught him by that pole.
It's hilarious. Yeah, you got to be careful. Well, social media was so new then that people didn't think about those kind of things.
That story didn't really go down the way I wanted it to go down. I never can tell a story the way I want to tell it unless I just off the cuff tell it. but I knew beforehand I was going to talk about it, and it just didn't go down the way I wanted it to. I
What's
suck.
wrong with it?
I'm terrible.
What's wrong with the story,
I
dude?
don't know.
I mean, were you looking for some kind of dramatic end or something like that?
No.
I mean, you did get to go on a raid and go get the head, and he didn't have any
No,
deer
I
and
didn't.
cages locked up in his house that you
didn't.
rescued and freed or anything like that.
Oh
So
yeah,
I mean,
I was gonna say I didn't go on the raid or anything. I wanted to.
well,
I wanted to catch this guy. I was like, hey, you don't kill my little friend, my
Well-
big friend. He was huge.
yeah, he was a nice one.
The first time I saw him, he was sitting down, right? And there was a couple of other huge bucks behind him. And
Hey,
I
there-
was looking at those.
There is a pole in that picture, dude.
I know that's how they caught him.
Yeah,
That's how they caught him.
I'll be dang. I'm sitting here looking at it.
But the first
Crazy.
time I saw him, he was sitting down, and I couldn't tell how big he was. And I was looking at the other bucks that was right behind him, and they were huge. And he stood up, and that's when I saw, like, he just like covered them. It was insane. It was crazy. BP buck.
Poor BP bug.
Yeah.
Such a shame. What a waste.
Well, it was gonna happen.
Beautiful animal.
It was gonna happen. I mean, they would have had to capture him and take him to some animal farm, and that wasn't gonna happen.
Hell no.
I don't know what they planned on doing. You know what I mean? Well, basically they didn't mind him being harvested. Obviously, they were just hoping it was going to be done legally.
Well, that's the way I am
And
about
this
it.
guy snuck in at 1:00, 2:00 in the morning, and just walked up to him and killed him.
Well, I'm sure he spotlighted him and shot him and
He
went and
parked
drug
his
him off.
truck in the woods, and I think walked up to him. But yeah, he probably had a spotlight on him.
Heck yeah. Been a lot of deer killed that way.
Heck yeah, huh?
Yeah. That's the way like my dad will say things like
What
he'll
was that?
say
Was that your phone?
yeah.
Just made it.
It
Okay.
tried to play a thing. I was like, anyways.
I was trying to figure out. I was like, what's going on here?
My dad will say things like, because I stopped deer hunting, and not for any particular reason. I just kind of burned out on it or whatever a long time ago when I was a lot younger. My dad, that's basically all he cares about
Mhm.
is deer hunting. And he gets mad at me because I don't take my kids hunting. You know what I mean? I've taken him a few times, but not nearly. He would love it if I was immersed in the culture, So one time I remember he's like, you need to teach those kids how to hunt. What if the world comes to an end and they got to fend for themselves and find food? And I was like, well, if that were to happen, they're not going to set up a tree stand and bow hunt for their meals. They're probably going to get a gun and go out, and when they see one, shoot it wherever they see it and cook it and eat it
Or a cow.
or whatever. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, if it gets down to deer, though, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not going to dress up in camouflage and get your
Well, I
call
understand
out
where your
and all
dad's
that.
coming from. I do.
Well, I mean,
But-
but killing an animal is killing an animal. You don't have to obey the rules when it's the end of the world. So I don't get the rationale. You
That's
know what I'm
very
saying?
true.
I mean, who's going to care, about poaching whenever you're trying to live off of it?
Right.
My mom's told me stories about whenever she was young and she grew up over kind of north of Wilburton, and the game warden there would overlook her family poaching deer because that's how they ate. They were real poor, and weren't very well off out there. So they kill deer year round to
Just to
basically
live off of.
survive off of, kind
Yeah.
of. And so he overlooked it. I mean, that's old school though. But anyway, so what was the what else you got over there? What are you looking at?
Oh,
Man, you trying to watch porn while we're making a podcast? Come on, man.
don't be looking at my computer.
I can't see it. You're just awfully involved over there. Got all sweaty all of a sudden. What?
No. What do you want to talk about? What else
What's
you
on
got?
the list?
Oh, well, I didn't want to actually tell people there was a list. But I
Well, this
guess we
time
can.
we're kind of marching through because we're trying to make it not as long a one, so we're trying to stay on task.
Well, we next on the list is
Mars.
Mars.
Yay! One of my favorite things to talk about.
Mars.
Well, not Mars individually, but I'm just saying uh, technology and how fast paced everything's
Well,
moving.
you
I'm
said in
excited.
2024.
Yeah. I watched a video yesterday that was talking about SpaceX, and they're planning on sending equipment and people to Mars in 2024. Which, you know how that kind of stuff goes. They'll say that and then they'll push it back a little while or whatever. I'm sure they've got to go check it out, and you know they've got that new, it's not a rover, but it's kind of like a rover they're going to send out there, and it'll have to map the entire planet, and they're going to have to know that, you know, there's no CO2 breathing dragons on the planet that's going to kill people whenever they step foot on it or whatever. They're going to, you know, kind of hedge their bets as far as people being able to survive once they get there. Number one, they're sending pieces to Mars ahead of the astronauts that will help them use water that's on Mars to make fuel to get back. That's the only way they have to get back. They're not taking enough fuel to get back from Mars. They're going to make it out of water that's on the surface.
Yeah, but what if this water's different than the water we know of?
Well,
have they already tested that out?
Well, they got those laser spectrometers or whatever you call them, lasers that they send up there, and they can analyze the composition of that stuff, you know. So they know it's not liquid water, you know what I mean. On Mars, it's too cold, but you know, it's like water ice, I think is usually what they call it. But anyway, they've got to make fuel to get back. So, you know, don't screw it up is what they're basically saying. You know, it's a one-way trip if you can't make fuel to get back. So 5-month trip, one way to get out there. I don't know. That stuff's just exciting because you know, it's this huge step in the advancement of the human race. You can basically say it's like when the automobile came around. I mean, it's going to be this giant leap as far as, you know, humankind goes.
How fast? What's the average speed that they're going to travel?
I know that they didn't say, and I don't know.
They're using. That's what I'm.
I think they're supposed to use they're going to use the moon. They're going to use its gravity to slingshot. They go around it and sling off of it to help propel them to Mars. And so
you read a lot into this.
I've read a bunch of stuff about it. Now, it's interesting to me. You know, I mean,
well, you said you would love to take a quantum physics class.
Oh yeah, I was saying that earlier. I mean, quantum physics is something that's interesting to me, you know, because it's the last thing that I know of that is equal to magic in known existence.
So why don't you take a quantum physics class?
Because I'm not very good at math. I suck at it. So, yeah, you know, the first time they threw out a linear equation, I'd be like, I don't know what that is. You know, I would be lost the first day of class.
They'd kick you out of class.
Like the first time I took a computer apps class in college, whenever I was 19, and I was like, you know, they were trying to teach us how to use Excel, and I was like, I don't even know what Excel is. You know what I mean? And they ran off and left me.
Right, and I'm very good at computers, and even some of that stuff they run off and leave me. I thought I knew computers, and then they're like, you can do this and this and this, and in Excel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna need to know this,
dude. I work with a guy that's 61 years old, and he uses Excel a lot. He has used it in the past. It's crazy what he can do. He makes all kinds of stuff for us, everything from schedules to lists of equipment to reminders, all kinds of crap. So interesting. But anyway, technology, the quantum realm, the quantum physics, and that area of technology is advancing really quickly, and it's going to make a huge impact on computers and computing power and what we're able to do with information as far as the transfer of information even. I mean, we're looking at all the way back when you had DSL or something like that, you know what I mean? Or you had dial-up, where it's like and all that. You remember how slow that was. Well, then whenever you get decent internet, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so much better. And now you look back on that and you go, I would never go back to that. Well, one of these days, the way we are looking at on our cell phones and the speed that it's going on our cell phones, we're going to be like, that was trash. You know, what do you mean you had to download a video? You know what I mean? Or you had to wait, or it buffered. That's stupid. I wouldn't pay a dime for that because 5G is just one step going forward, you know, and a bunch of stuff there. Like I said, data transfer and computing power and all that stuff. Quantum physics has got its finger all in that. LEDs came from quantum research. You know what I mean? There's a whole trying to understand, wrap my head around the fact that instead of zeros and ones like they have in those, you know, for writing code, you have things in a computer that are both. It's a 0 and a 1. It can be whatever it needs to be at any state, any moment. So it's twice, you know, it's not even twice as fast. It's like hundreds of times faster. Yeah, they're breaking encrypted codes that should take like 3,000 years for like the fastest supercomputer we got now. They can break them. They're by their calculations, they can break them in like 8 minutes. That was supposed to take 3,000 years. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. I read all this stuff because, you know, I think about I'm kind of an in-betweener. You know what I mean? I'm old enough that I grew up before cell phones and most of the technology that we enjoy now. You know, like Nintendo was. I remember when Nintendo came out. You know, everybody always says, "I remember Atari," da 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 da, and I do remember that stuff. But the jump from Nintendo sitting in my room on my little 19-inch tube television, the jump from that, knowing when I was 12 years old playing that way to when we get online and play Call of Duty with hundreds of other people from all the United States that we meet and we play these games with, and things are downloading at incredible speeds constantly. That alone is just, it gets me interested in what's going to happen. You know, I mean, that's a span of 25 years. What'll happen in the next 25? Because it's technology is like jumping faster all the time. You know, you're making
Right.
these bigger leaps. So I don't know. I just kind of get interested, and I keep getting excited about what I'll see in my lifetime. You know, I mean, if I live to be 80 years old, what am I going to see? You know, because I mean, the people that are 80 years old now have already seen incredible things, and we'll see, you know, 10 times that in our lifetime. So I don't know. I just kind of think it's neat. I love technology. The things that we're able to do as human beings, dude, it's crazy. So I get excited, man. Mars and all that kind of thing like that. Just to see what we can do.
And you would go to Mars if you didn't have kids.
Yeah, if I didn't have kids, yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, just because think about this. Where can you go on the planet where no other human being has ever stood or has ever seen physically? Nowhere. It's somebody has stepped on every single square inch
Think
of
so?
dry land on this planet. Yeah.
You think so?
Yes, 100%. Somebody has. They might not have wrote it down, but I mean, you think about how long human beings have existed on the earth,
That's true.
and they wander. You know what I mean? Especially before cities and that kind of thing like that. You know, like the migration of people from China and all that across the Bering Strait, all the way down to the United States. You know, Native Americans and that whole game. Dude, somebody's been there. They've already been everywhere. The Amazon. They find tribes that are undiscovered in
That's
the
true.
Amazon.
Yes.
You know, people have already been there. So you're talking about going to a planet, you're stepping foot, just like when they did on the moon. No one's ever been there. A human being has never stood there. And you're the very first one. That's to be part of history like that, because it's something that'll always be remembered. As long as there's recorded history, we'll always have Neil Armstrong taking his first steps onto the moon.
Yeah, but what happens if when you get there, something goes bad and you can't come back, and we decide just to erase that, and we go, nah, let's not talk about it.
What do you mean?
Let's not talk. Let's not say that we ever sent them to the Mars. To the Mars. let's just.
That's
so,
old people stuff.
So then,
when you put the
so
the
then
in
you,
front of anything, let's go to the Walmart.
So then, right? So then you're not part of history anymore. You're actually.
Well, I mean, it's just like whenever people started exploring America. I say people whenever, I guess you'd say.
Ooh, can you hear that?
Westerners. Yeah, I can hear it.
Sorry.
when they started exploring the United States, moving west, of course,
Mhm.
the American Indian already lived out there. But I mean, whenever, what I guess you'd say, quote unquote, the civilized world started moving west in the United States, people died. I
Mhm.
mean, they did. It's a harsh environment, just like Mars. I mean, way
Well, I'm just
less
saying, if
than
you go
Mars,
to
but
Mars, something goes wrong, you step foot on Mars, something goes wrong, and you think, okay, even if I die, everyone's gonna know that Lucas Johnson was one of the first ones on Mars,
maybe not.
and we decide because it goes bad, and we don't want people to, we don't want that bad rap.
Well, yeah, but
So we decide we're not ever going to tell anybody.
on that end, it could have already happened. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true. There might be dead bodies up there already.
Well, I mean, as far as that goes, I'm not. I mean,
I'm just giving you a hard time.
it's a little bit elaborate, but
it would be awesome.
well, I just think about, and I'm never gonna get to go to Mars. I mean, if I did, it would be awesome. But if I never get to, if they develop some sort of commercial trips where you could go to Mars and come back,
Brunson, right?
I don't know.
Isn't he going to do that?
I don't know. No, you're talking about. That's like, they're talking about doing like space flights where you basically go into low Earth orbit and then come back.
Oh, okay.
That's the next commercial thing that's coming up.
Were you going to do that?
Yeah, I'd do that. Go up into weightlessness and come back? Hell yeah. Dude, that'd be cool. Just try it out. Yeah, I mean, why not? It'd be fun.
I don't know, man. I can barely get in an airplane without thinking about it crashing.
Really?
So getting on a commercial flight to outer space.
Dude, imagine how much guts it takes. That's what
it does take a lot.
I mean, we take it for granted. You see these guys spacewalking like on satellites and stuff like that. And you think about this. When you're on Earth, right? Say you're on a really tall building or you're on a big tall antenna or one of these big windmills and you fall. You're going to fall all the way to the ground. Okay? Well, what if you're in space and you fall?
I've thought about
You got nowhere to fall to.
Don't you ever
keep falling?
Don't you ever
Don't you run out of air?
Don't you have a cable though that makes you a tether?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if something were to happen,
dude,
and you're,
I've thought about it. That's insane. That's crazy. When I think about space and stuff like that, I just can't.
You're basically going to wait till you run out of air. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
So I'd be like, let's just go ahead and unlatch this top here and get it over with. I don't want to wait on this. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, no, like I said, I find that stuff interesting. I wish I'm glad there are people that are smart enough, engineers and that kind of thing like that, to do the mathematics to figure out how to do these things. Because just like going to Mars, dude, it's not a thing where they just take off and then they shoot to Mars. Dude, even for them to launch this stuff that they send to the space station, the International Space Station, they got to calculate when these satellites are coming by.
Right. So they won't hit them.
Yeah. And there's also time dilation that they have to deal with. Just like your GPS, your computer automatically figures in time dilation because space-time's bent around the Earth. So time and space is different for satellites than it is for us. So for you to get real time, what they call real time information from those, the satellite's basically traveling in the future, and that computer's got to adjust that information for you and give it to you. Dude, I always, when I was growing up, when you run into things like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and a lot of things that are the magic, you know what I mean? The mysteries of the world that you live in, if those things are made to seem like not a mystery anymore, like then what's left? You go, man, there's no magic in the world. It's all just, like this desk. It's just plain Jane. That's it. Well, wake up, go to work, die, or whatever. Right. But then when you get to thinking about the fact that you have quantum particles that are moving through material, you got this whole spectrum of the existence of life on a scale that we can't see that's going on, that is on that verge of being magic or some unknown. There's plenty of stuff about it that they don't understand how it can do certain things, so that kind of stuff is just, it's one of those frontier things, you know what I mean? It's like, and I come from those kind of people. I mean, my ancestors, right? And I'm not even talking about necessarily the Native American part of it, just any of them. It seems like everybody in my family came from they get excited about something new. You know what I mean? It's kind of in our blood. Oh, what's over the next hill? What's over da 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 da. So it kind of awakens that side of me. That's why I get fired up about it. And I just went on this long talk about Mars for nothing.
Not for nothing. I learned some stuff. I'm sure everybody else will
Well,
too.
I would say check it out. You know, I mean, read some stuff, listen to like Neil deGrasse
Take a
Tyson.
look.
You know, he's the most famous guy that you can talk. You know, he's an astrophysicist, so he's real smart, and he does a really good job of breaking it down for people who aren't real smart or the people that might not study that kind of stuff, but it's interested in it and that kind of stuff. So he's very articulate and very well spoken and easy to understand. He kind of acted like a jerk to Joe Rogan last time he was on Joe Rogan's podcast. And I didn't appreciate it.
Really?
You know, because Joe Rogan may not be my most favorite guy, but don't be a jerk. You know what I'm saying? Don't be, you don't have to be like that. And he was very abrasive last time he was on there. And the first time he was on, he was cool. I was neat at listening to him go back and forth.
Maybe he's just in one of his mood swings like you have.
Yeah, it's
So
understandable.
You can't really hold that against him.
Yeah, men do that, I guess.
I
don't know.
guess so. With you, anyway.
We can't all be on every day, you know. Anyways, on to the next thing.
I want to touch base a little bit on what we talked about.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
What we talked about. Well, what we talked about beforehand on our last podcast was the taxi driver that was
Yes.
gunned down on New Year's Eve, basically New Year's morning.
Been a little bit of information come out since our last podcast.
Yes.
A
So-
different dynamic or a different direction that we didn't know about whenever we first. Yeah, it was breaking. You know, I mean, when we did that last podcast, it was just coming out.
Yeah, we had no details whatsoever. We
Yeah.
didn't know anything about Dustin Parker. You know, we were just looking at pictures in the news article about it. So we didn't know anything. And we didn't pretend to know anything as well.
Well, and we kept saying that, you know, I went back and listened to it, and we were even saying, you know, we're sure there's going to be more details. This is just basically, you know, we were kind of talking about how things were going in McAllister and, you know, the direction some things were headed in. We didn't appreciate it, da 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 da. And that was another one of those things. It's a horrible crime right here in, you know, in the middle of, you know, backwoods America or whatever you want to say, you know, out in the country, so to speak. And well, it's come out since then that this was a transgender person, you know,
Yep.
and they don't have any evidence to say that this crime was related to the fact that he was transgender or anything like that. But it's an interesting dynamic. It's something to consider in what seems to me, not saying that it is, just from the information that I've been given so far, to be like a aimless crime, or, you know, like it was just a senseless murder. You know, I mean, not that murders ever, you know, makes sense, but in this instance, they can't figure out what's going on. I mean, this person's out driving, giving free rides on New Year's, trying to keep drunk people off the streets, and gets gunned down. Now, whether that has something to do with something that person was hooked up with or not, I don't know. We
Right.
don't have any details. on
No,
that.
and I don't speculate.
Just an interesting dynamic. I thought it was kind of a strange turn of events. It just I didn't expect it. Is the only thing I can say about it. You know what I mean? And part of it's to do with I don't know, maybe our area. I don't know. I don't know where mentally I was at, why it was so surprising to me. I don't know. You know, and we've heard some rumblings, you know, some whispering around the campfire and that kind of thing about it knocking, you know, but the potential for it knocking this company out of business because of fear of other attacks like this, because of what came out about this person's identity, which I think is sad. I guess it's something that is, you know, you got to think about in what seems like a random thing, what could be a factor. And, you know, you don't want to be connected to that, or you don't want to get caught in the crossfire of something like that.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it on that end of it. I think it's unfortunate.
It's definitely right. It's definitely unfortunate for the taxi service if they suffer, you know, because of that.
Well, but like you read earlier, you read it out to me. They're not giving up.
No.
I mean, these people are very, and dude, to me, this is quintessential America, man. I don't care what anybody says. For someone to go, you know what, this is a horrible thing, and we're going to keep going. We're not going to get scared off, and we're not going to quit because of this.
Right.
So I hope not that people should put themselves in harm's way, but I mean, to me, it's a little bit. It's really a negative way to look at it, to say you're necessarily putting yourself in harm's way, because there's been who knows how many people killed in taxi cabs in the United States of America, and all sorts of drivers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, any sort of driver, across the United States. It's it's more.
Well, most of the time a taxi driver is gunned down. I say most of the time. I don't know the percentages, but I would think that most of the time it's from someone who is a passenger and they are robbing them.
Yeah, and these people are giving out free rides.
And like I said, we don't even know if this is the case. We don't even know how the scene looked.
Yeah.
We don't know if there was a wallet taken. We don't know any details whatsoever. And even I think the captain that put out a statement, he said that it doesn't look like, it didn't appear to be a hate crime per se, but he also said,
they don't know what it appears to be other than a homicide.
Right.
Though.
Exactly.
I mean, we're basically at a point where they're not releasing any details if they have any. I'm sure they're trying to investigate really hard, so they don't want to give too much out.
I think they've talked to a couple people. They brought a couple people in.
And I saw that.
Them.
Yeah. And that's good, man. I mean, somebody should get to the bottom of anyone's murder. I hope it doesn't. I hope it didn't have anything to do with this person's sexual orientation. You know what I'm saying? It would be the most unfortunate turn of events that I could imagine out of a situation like this.
I just don't understand how someone could hate somebody so much to do that just because of that.
Well, and that's the thing, is
that's just so crazy to me.
In this world, people will kill each other for a lot less.
A lot less.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
Or, what would seem like a lot less. People will do bad things to each other. It's horrible. I just hope that it doesn't come out that was it. Of course,
yes.
In this area, whenever it came out that it was that Dustin was a transgender, it was like everybody's automatic thing is to jump to, well, that's why. They must have found out he's transgender and they killed him for it or whatever. I say everybody. I'm sure there was a lot of people that did. I mean, of course, it crossed my mind too. I was like, I mean, it'd be a horrible, ugly mark on this area for that to be the motivation. There is no good motivation unless they were trying to protect somebody else's life. There is no good motivation to kill somebody, unless you're trying to protect somebody from them. But
so for no reason, there's good motivation. I
mean, even a robbery or an argument or disagreement or something like that. It just unfortunate all the way around. There, we already know the end of it, so I mean, it sucks. Yeah. No matter what you find out, it's not going to be good. But
yeah. So really, the only details we've learned is that he was transgender. Yeah. We haven't heard anything, and that's the way it's going to be for now. They're working. I'm sure they've got some leads, or and you can't come out with information sometimes because you've got to, you could be like, yeah, well, the guy had, size 9 Nike shoes or whatever. Well, that person's going to go, or, he had white shoes on or whatever. They can't give out too many details because that person's going to go throw the shoes in the river or whatever, So I know it can be frustrating for a lot of people, at this point that, well, they're not telling us anything, they're not telling us anything. Well, they may not know anything, first of all. And second of all, they can't tell you everything that they know, or, and it's frustrating. I get it. I totally understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that it seems like that little information coming out, and all of a sudden everybody's like, well, there's like this negative cloud over that company almost, and I'm not saying everybody feels that way. I don't mean to speak for other people. It's just, you know, you hear these little things and it's like, dude, you know, these people are out trying to be, it's an entrepreneurial venture. You know, these people, this is a new business and they've invested a lot of money in cars. I think you read earlier they're getting Teslas.
3 Teslas, I believe. They're adding 3 Teslas to the fleet.
Yeah, you know, for people around McAllister, they started out doing some really cool stuff on New Year's, giving free rides to people that needed rides home from drinking and you know, it's unfortunate because they seem like they started off really good in my eyes. You know, I mean, you're trying to help the community, you're wanting to develop a business.
And they got really nice cars,
Yeah,
really good equipment. So, and they're
yeah.
I think they're all electric.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. And you know, I don't hate, even though I come from the oil and gas industry, I'm not sitting here going stupid electric cars. You know me.
Right.
I
You want
like
electric
I
cars.
like electric cars.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
you
of cars, how's your car coming along?
it's finally starting to come along pretty good.
You got the windshield in.
Yeah, it seemed like you know, it's funny. When I took the car down, it seemed like something was happening. You know what I mean? It's the first time that car had been out of the shop over at Dad's in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so to put it on a trailer, take it over there and have it and pick it back up, there's my new windshield in it, was like, it kind of gave new life to it. You know, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. You know, I mean, I'm on the verge of being able to drive this thing. And I'm not, I mean, I am and I'm not. There's still a lot of work to be done to it, but you know, I've ended up restoring quite a bit more on it than I'd planned originally. I thought I'd be able to buy the car that I have now and drive it while I was working on it, and the motor sucked. So I ended up having to go ahead and do my LS swap now versus later. And so that threw me behind and getting time with the, you know, between the job and, you know, my family's got things that we're trying to do and, you know, we go places and that kind of stuff. So it's something that, you know, in hindsight, I probably should have saved until you know, my kids were grown, but it would have made more sense. And I actually had a shop of my own. That would be a big thing too.
Or just went and bought one that was already done.
Yeah, but
I know that's not what you wanted to do.
Looking back though, I mean, I wasn't necessarily wanting to build a car. I just didn't think I could afford one.
Oh,
You know what
I
I'm
thought
saying?
you wanted to build one.
No. I'm not. No, I'm not handy like that, dude. I'm not looking for that challenge.
Well,
I mean, I'm doing it out of necessity. You know, I want a car like that,
Yeah.
and I can't buy them. You know, because I was thinking, well, good grief, you know, all of them I found 7,000, 9,000 in the level that I want, because I want to drive this car every day.
Mm-hmm.
So to get one that you can drive every day, you got to pay. You know, and I was like, well, I don't want to go. You know, for one thing, you can't hardly get money loaned on a vehicle like that, and I don't have $9,000 sitting around. You know, I mean, I've got some money saved, but it's not for buying an old car to drive
Right.
around. So that's kind of where I was at with it. Was I thought, well, you know, I'll buy one that runs, and then I'll work on it as I can. Well, then, you know, you get the car, bent push rods, you dig a little deeper. You know, it's this is leaking. This is, you know, it smokes horribly out of the left side. So
Great motor, man.
well, I wanted to go LS from the beginning because, you know, I like the fuel injection. I liked the complete package feeling of, you know, just basically buying it and sticking it in the car, which is a lie.
Well,
that is not what it is. But
I would have told you that beforehand, but I knew you wouldn't listen to me.
I didn't listen to anybody. You know, I had a guy tell me early on, that first car that I bought that's now a donor car,
Mm-hmm.
I bought it and I was telling Chris Turner, I was standing there talking to him and another guy that he and I are friends with. And I was kind of laying out my plans, kind of what I wanted and how I wanted to, you know, when it was done, what I wanted it to be and all that. And he's like, man, it's doable, you know, but man, it's going to cost you about 40,000 to do it. And I was like, dude, I thought he was the dumbest person I had ever heard talk in my life. I looked at him. I was like, $40,000. I'm not building a show car. And he's like, I'm not talking about a show car. I'm talking about a car you can drive from what you've got. Because I had pictures of it, you know, and everything. He's like, from what you have to a driving vehicle, LS swapping and doing all this stuff that you want to do. He said 30 to 40,000. And I was like, well, you know, I just kind of dropped it. But in my mind, I was sitting there going, you're an idiot. You're a dummy. And I'll show you you're a dummy because I'm going to build this car for less than that. I don't want to add it up. I'm not going to. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Because you don't want to tell that guy
I
you might
don't.
be
Well, I
right.
don't want to know.
Right.
I mean, I'd probably throw up if I knew actually how much I've spent by now. You know, but and being a kind of a closet car guy, you know, there was a lot of things I didn't know about. Didn't know what I was getting into whenever I took on some of these things.
Right.
And you know, you want it to be right. I replaced the floorboards. Never have done that in my life. I'm not a body guy. Didn't know how to go about it necessarily. All I knew is you buy the floorboards from, you know, the repops or whatever, and then you cut out the floorboards that are there, and then you just weld these back in there. What? You know, that's what I thought. I welded for a living. So I bought a MIG welder and
You
everything.
did?
Yeah,
I didn't know you were a welder.
for a while
I,
I
mean, I
was.
knew you know how to weld, but I didn't know you were a
Yeah,
welder.
I was like, I had my own rig, truck, machine, da 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 da. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Welded on pipelines for BP. Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm handy.
I
Handy
didn't
as a
know you knew how to
pocket shirt.
weld.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
I
So
mean, you know, I don't think I've needed a.
you don't know me, son.
I guess not.
Nah,
Everybody. I
It
didn't
was a
know
long time ago when Gavin was a baby.
Yeah, but you still know how to weld.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Damn right I know
All
how.
right, go ahead. So these floorboards were not
Well,
what you thought they were going to
Oh
be.
God, no. This is a horrible undertaking.
You
Number one, just cutting all the rusty stuff out. I mean,
It just keeps coming.
you're talking about hours and
Mhm.
hours, and it's way worse than you thought, and
Mhm.
it's this and it's that, and then you go to put the new ones back in. You go, oh, okay, well they're made like the old ones, so you just flop them down in there and weld them down. No, you don't. Not if you want them right, you know. And what I found, you know, I found things like pieces of not cardboard, but it was like particle board, and then or no flashing. The front floorboards were done with like roof flashing,
hmm
and then body putty over that.
So it had already been worked on, done, and all that. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, dude, this car had been.
This was the donor car or the new car?
This is my new car that I'm driving now.
Oh, man.
No, the donor car
not
was
driving
a
it.
shell. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
not driving it now.
No.
Just gonna, what a,
Yeah,
I'm
the
gonna
donor
correct you on
car.
that.
The donor car would have had to have these same things, only it was worse.
yeah.
I mean, the rear quarters were bad on it, and I mean, there was a lot more to do to it. You know, and it was one of those things I thought I'd work on as a time permitted, and I didn't realize what I was getting into. You
Right.
know, so
You didn't realize you were going to be 60, 65 years old before you actually finally got to drive. it.
yeah, I know now why all old men drive those old nice cars, because you're that old before you got the money and the time,
Right.
or you know,
Yeah.
either one or both.
Right.
So
And a lot of them buy them, you know, not
yeah,
build them.
well, and guys that build, you know, that'll go out and build their own car like that.
Well, like, you know, people that build cars like that, they know what they're getting themselves into.
Right, they're car
and
guys.
They're
yeah.
car guys, and they have the equipment to tackle any situation
Yeah.
for the most part. And so it,
And
you
we
know,
have a lot of tools
with
between Dad
anything,
and I, but
with anything, you get better every time you do something. You know
Right.
that. So if you had to do this again,
you know, and I,
you'd be a little bit better at cutting those floorboards out, right?
but then yeah, I know a lot better about what I'm getting into next time.
But
Well,
you would
now
just
I
not
can
do
go
it.
look at it and go, nope,
Nope.
not buying this car. You know what I mean? First thing I do would be pick that up, hell no,
Yes.
and throw
You
it
didn't
back
know
down.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? I just, you know, the guy started it up and it was smoking a little bit on one side, and he's like, man, it started out about a week ago. He's like, I think it's running rich. The carburetor probably needs to be adjusted a little bit. And I got in it, vroom, 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 it ran and everything. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I can do that.
Didn't
Ain't no
look at the
problem.
floorboards or anything.
No, just got in the car and took off with it. I knew that like the door panels had been wrapped in like this vinyl stuff. I could tell somebody had went in, instead of like dyeing it or buying the color they wanted, they just covered it in this vinyl stuff. So I was like, oh, well, I can strip all that out, and you know, I can do that part of it. And I've since learned how to dye the panels and dye a bunch of, you know, the seat belts and get everything the color that I wanted. I figured all that out, but I didn't know what I was getting into in the beginning of it. You know, it has the appearance of falling together, and that is a lie. It does not fall together. I mean, there might be people out there that are more mechanical than me that would have an easier time or have a better background in it, and they might be able to float right through it. But I knew a lot of guys that listen to the podcast, people that are friends of this podcast that do this stuff and have been in it since I've known them. And I always thought, these guys have always got vehicles that are not finished. I don't know, you know, why don't they ever finish their vehicles? Blah, blah, blah. Now I know.
Now you know.
You know what I mean?
You-
Who has time? This
right.
crap takes forever, you
Yeah.
know? So, in which now the guys I'm talking about have had plenty of super nice and still have nice vehicles that I was very envious of.
Well, everybody has a project that they don't get finished.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has everybody.
Well, and I have the luxury of being I'm pointed. I know exactly what I want. I'm not building a car just to build a car. You know what I mean? It's not like I went out and picked out a 70 Chevelle or 69 Camaro or any of the Mustang. You know, people build a lot of Mustangs or Torinos or, you know, I'm not, I mean, I like all those cars, but I'm not just a car guy. You know what I mean? I'm not just like, oh, all cars are cool. I like a lot of them, but I knew I wanted one of these Pontiacs. I really wanted a 70 Judge, you know, of course, and anybody that knows anything about cars knows you don't touch them for $40,000 or more.
Right.
If you can drive them, you know, I mean, they're you're not, no, forget it. So, you know, this car's close and, it looks cool. I like the look of it. I like what I'm going to do to it. You know, I'm kind of making it my own. I've lowered it a little bit, and you know, when it's running, it'll be pretty cool looking. I won't be ashamed of it. You know, I mean, even though on the outside till I get it painted, it's going to look rough. When you get in it, it doesn't look like a new one, but it's nice. Nice carpet, nice seats, nice upholstery. You know, it's going to be where I get in it and bump the key, and she starts up and goes. You know, it'll be. I want it where I could get in and drive to California. You know what I mean? That day. I don't want. That's why I didn't go with carbureted engine or nothing. I'm not a mechanic, dude. I don't need that. I need start up and drive away. You know,
Right.
I've sharpened my mechanic skills since I've been doing this. I've done
Of course.
like converted from drum to disc brakes and
That's
you
awesome.
know, a lot of things that um that I thought would be, you know, I see these pictures of these cars on the internet, you know, and you'll see like a 70 Judge and somebody's uh pro toured it and it looks cool because it's got like these big wheels and you can see the red calipers in behind there. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. You know, and you don't give any more thought to it, then that'll look awesome. So then you go, okay, what I gotta have, and you look on Summit and you go, oh, that Willwood 6-piston brake set that they have for the front is $1,100 just by itself. That's no rear brakes. That's no um, master cylinder. That's no nothing. That's just the discs and you know the calipers and rotors, basically.
And you bought them.
I did buy them. They're on my car. Now, when it's all said and done, I'll be glad I did. Those are racing brakes.
Yes.
You know, those are high end,
Right.
very nice, you know, da 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 da, and it'll look cool. And I'm sure I'll get some compliments and I'll take it and, you know, think it's awesome and feel good when I drive off and all that crap. But um, there's a few things that I'm that way about that I could have shortened up this whole process by
Right.
not being that way about it.
Well, you don't ever want any regrets, even though you probably regret the whole thing.
In a
little
way,
way.
in a way, I do. I wish I'd have never started it. You know what I mean? It's going to be awesome when it's done. I've got so much money in it. There's no coming back. You know, I kind of feel like I jumped out of an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Well, I knew what you were getting yourself into.
appreciate you not letting me know.
You wouldn't listen to me.
No, I would have thought just like I did about that one guy. Well, you don't know what you're
Well,
talking
what makes
about.
it worse is it's not at your house. You know, it's not even in your garage where you can. You know,
Right.
you don't have the. It's over there at your parents', which is
40 minutes away.
right, 40 minutes
one
away.
way.
And it, yeah, and I knew it was going to be pretty tough.
Yeah,
But I'm glad you're doing it because we're going to do a podcast in it when it's finished.
it's gonna be hilarious, dude. Hopefully, it don't break down. I'll drive it for a little bit, make sure it's running good.
No, I want to be there when
No.
it starts the first time. I want to do it right
Oh
then.
God. Well, it won't be long because the goal right now, and I've set a lot of goals for this car and haven't met very many of them, but I think by now we can probably say by March 1st I should be able to drive it. I mean, I think I'm that close. So
Well, stay with it.
you know,
stick
and
with it.
today's the 10th or 11th
Yeah,
of
11th
July,
now.
January. So anyway,
I'm excited. I am excited for
I'm
you.
excited to get
For
done
you.
with it. Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be something, you know. I mean, not everybody drives it around. I'm going to drive this thing. This is going to be my vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I go to the movies, I'm driving it. You know, if I'm going to wherever, I'm driving it. So, you know, I'll probably at some point be like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Because I've thought several, I can't tell you how many times I've thought, I'll part it out. I'll sell what I can off of everything. Because I'm selling a fender to a guy. Right now I'm in the process of figuring out what I got to do to ship it to him. He lives in Florida off my donor card. I told him to buy a new one. I was like, dude, just buy it. It's going to cost a lot to ship this thing. But the fenders are in good shape. Those front fenders are in really good shape.
He wanted OEM stuff.
Yeah, I think he's not numbers matching, but I mean, he wanted the original stuff. So, I thought, well, I'll just part it all out and I'll buy a truck, because I could make a payment on another vehicle. I'll just buy me something that I want, something that's cool, something I like to drive, da, 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 da. But then I just keep thinking how unusual it will be for me to be driving that car. You know what I mean? And you know how I am, dude. I don't like fitting into these. When people look at me, they're like, well, of course you work in the oil field. Of course, you eat a lot of food or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things that would look obvious whenever they look at me. I don't like fitting in them boxes, I don't want to drive a damn pickup truck just because I look like I should.
Right.
It irritates me.
Well, who's to say you should?
Well,
who's to say you look like somebody who would drive a pickup?
Well, when I was doing nursing, when I was doing the nursing aid thing, I drove down to Talahena every day, and I drove in a Hyundai Accent, which if you want to Google that, it's a little bitty car, a little bitty 4-door car. And I got my big ass in it with my scrubs and drove down there every day. And it never failed when I would get out in the morning, somebody would look at me like I was crazy. And I don't know how many people would say, what'd you do before this? I'm like, I worked in the oil field. That's what I thought. I mean, it was like time after time after time after time. It's like you don't belong here. You don't belong here.
By driving the Accent, they think you.
Well, and I got beard, big, bald,
yeah.
That whole game.
Big, bald beard.
Yeah. Yeah, that.
You tell them you got your butt whipped a lot in school?
No. Heck no. I did, though.
I did one time.
Yeah.
Miss Mooney. Miss Mooney. And I'm going to tell you something. I love Miss Mooney. Yes, I had it coming. Yes, I had it coming. Kindergarten. I've got 2 books in each hand, right? And I've got my arms stretched out and I'm just twirling. I'm just trying to catch. I guess I'm trying to fly. I don't know.
You don't have any idea what you were trying to accomplish at that time?
I was just being stupid. I was a gardener.
This must have put you this marked you, didn't it?
And I let go of that book, one of them. On accident, it kind of slipped out. It did slip out. And it, clear across the room. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, no. Smokes Miss Mooney right in the dome.
You hit her in the head?
In the head.
Like in the face or in the back of the head? Or where? Do you remember where it hit her?
Side, back of the head, yes.
Oh, she thought you threw it.
She was facing the other way. Yes, she thought I threw it. But
because you're standing there with another book, little Benny, standing there with another book in your hand, looking at her like
I'm going to throw this one, ready to throw the other one. And oh, man. She was like,
you want to throw books,
Mr. Klein, out in the hall. I'm in kindergarten, okay?
She's got to nip this in the bud. She can't have every Tom, Dick, and Harry run around hitting her with a book.
Right. She set an example, man. She set an example. But
did she light you up? I mean, do you remember the spanking? Was it a bad one?
It wasn't too bad.
You didn't cry and dance around and lose your breath and all that?
No.
Oh.
No. Did you ever?
Dude, well, when they come from my father, every time.
I'm talking about from your teachers.
A few times. I mean, really? I didn't cry. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of crying. Hell no. They'd had to kill me to get me to cry. You know what I mean? I'd walk back in with a red face and try to sit down, and it hurt real bad, but no.
Yeah, I smoked Miss Mooney in the head, man, with a book. It's a true story.
Got that hiney busted. Did your mom find out about that?
Of course.
What'd she say?
I told my mom, I was like, I regretted it.
Did you cry when you tell her? Did you go, Mom, I was swinging around with some books, and I let one go to him with money, and she spanked me.
No. It took a lot to make me cry when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah. You couldn't make me cry.
I don't get that from you.
I didn't just, really?
Yeah, I get a lot of crying from you. Yeah.
You
look like a crier to me.
I was a tough little bastard. Okay?
I bet you probably cry when you get home tonight.
I might. I might.
Everybody's mean to me.
I might, because I'm going to see how much sleep I'm going to get before we have to get up and go play basketball.
Ooh.
I know. Speaking of when I was a little kid, also, I was going to tell a little story about, I was thinking of it the other day.
Well, here
was
goes.
one time, I think it was Brian Toll and I, we were at my house on the hill, and for a lot of people that don't know, there was a road that went, or a trail that went above my hill through the woods. We were playing outside, and I hear a motorcycle coming from the top of the hill. You know, I can hear it way up there. It's not came down yet, and I hear, you know, it's wrapped out, just flying.
Like a dirt bike or a street
yes,
bike? Oh,
dirt bike. Sorry. And all of a sudden, wing! This dude flies over the hill. Right. This is a trail of, just big rocks and stuff. It's uneven as all get out. It's not something you want to,
go flying off a bike on.
Right. And he found out that day.
Was he not from there? Was this fella?
He is, but I don't think he knew it was going to drop off. I think thought he was on a road and it was just going to keep going.
Or did he think he was going to ramp and it'd be real
No,
cool or something?
I don't think so, because nobody's that stupid.
I would hope not, but
I took my motorcycle, my dirt bike up it 1,000,000 times, and even I was the biggest daredevil you'll ever meet, and I didn't do that. Well, especially after what I saw, because he crashed hard.
So he came off the bike, or did he stay on the bike?
He came off the bike, I believe. Definitely. Yeah, he crashed out, man. He was laying there. So I think it was Brian Toll. Him and I were, and we were little bitty, man. We were probably 5 years old, and we went up there to check on him, right? And this dude is gargling blood, can't breathe, just laying there. He was out, and then he would come to, and he'd go back out. He'd come to, and what I remember was, it seemed to me like some of the hair on his head was scant off.
Probably, yeah.
By rocks or whatever, and he had blood all over, and he was all, busted up and bloody, and so we're daring each other to go touch him.
Instead of going to getting help?
Right, because we're little, okay? So I remember going up there, and he was like laying there, and then, we'd run away. He'd make a little noise or something, we'd run. And then we would go back up there, and he's laying there. And at one point he was like, help me, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I run down. Well, I finally got him help. They brought an ambulance up and took him off.
Jeez.
He lived, but he was busted up really bad.
Is this fella
real bad?
You said he's from Wilburton?
He was on the brink of death. Yeah.
Is he still around?
I believe he's from Wilburton, yeah. Because the guy, I couldn't tell you his name, but the guy that I found out years later, when I worked at the parts store, I found out years later that guy was test driving that motorcycle, that bike. He was test driving it, and this guy that came in the parts store told me, he goes, yeah, that was my bike. Because he brought it up to me. He goes, hey, you remember when you saved that guy's life? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the guy was on that dirt bike and had it crash up on the hill by your house. And I was like, oh, yeah. Of course, I've always remembered it. Yeah. I was like, yeah. And I was like, so you know who that was? He's like, yeah, that was my motorcycle. That was my bike.
God.
That he totaled out, And then he was telling me all about it, how I think he was in the hospital for a long time. And
jeez.
So anyways, I thought I would tell that story. It's just another story, another little Benny Klein stories, of his childhood.
All kind of things went on down around that hill.
Oh yeah. Of course I felt bad about it, later on, I guess. But I didn't really realize what was going on. I was just going up there to touch this guy.
Yeah. Oh, there's some funny stories I'd like for you to tell that would involve, I think it's got some of your family members in, so you can't really tell them on the podcast, but I wish you could.
Why can't I?
Well, like the one where, you may have told that one already, where you thought they were chasing you with a gun. You ran away. The guy got out with a gun.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't family, no. But.
Well, Bobby Shelton and I were at church camp, and we just got back from church camp. The bus dropped us off, or the van or whatever dropped us off. Well, My granny, her back door was the door that we always used. To me, it was the front door, but it wasn't the one facing the highway. But it was the door we always used, and it was never locked. I mean, people didn't even if somebody knocked on her door, we were like, "Who's here?"
Somebody we don't know.
Because everybody just walked in. There was no knocking. So I had went to the back door and tried to get in. I noticed that one of my uncles from California, his truck was there, so he was in, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he's here." And long story short, I'm telling stupid details of the story, but the back door was locked, right?
And it's never usually locked.
It's never usually locked. So I figured my granny was taking a nap. Didn't want to be bothered. So I went to Bobby's house, and I was like, "Hey, I think I took my bicycle over there," and his parents had a mobile home on the next lot over, basically. So it was right next to my granny's backyard, which was perfect. I loved it.
Yeah.
Because my best friend was right there, and they didn't always live there. So anyways, I go, and he's in his house, and he's getting a sandwich or something, and I'm talking to him, and I've got my foot on the porch, and I'm pushing I'm keeping my balance by just pushing myself. Well, this car pulls up, and I'm just talking to Bobby, and this car pulls up, and it's a little yellow Mustang, right? And they're asking me questions. They're like, "Hey, where's your parents?" And I'm like, "I don't live here. This is my friend's parents, but they're not here." And he's like,
the exact thing you're not supposed to tell people that you don't know.
Right. And well, he's like, "Where's your dad?" or something, And I was like, "Yeah, he's not here, And I'm still just talking to him, and he's smiling at me, and he's looking forward. He's got his car. I'm beside him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hard to say, or describe it, but he keeps looking forward, right? And he'll turn and look at me, ask a question,
trying not to laugh,
and then he'd look forward. Well, all of a sudden, he reaches out of his car door and opens it up, like the handle's not working in the inside. He reaches out, opens the car door swings open. He leans up. There's somebody in the back. And the next thing I see is a rifle coming out of the car.
Out of the back seat?
Yes. And I said, "Run, Bobby." I screamed at him, "Run, Bobby." And his parents had guns, so I was just thinking, gosh, Bobby, grab something.
Get a gun,
dude,
bro. I'm gone.
But I'm out of here. Because I had no choice. I can't go up and try to, you know what I mean? There's too much distance between me and the dude with the gun, and plus I'm a kid.
Did you take off pedaling?
No, hell no. I jumped off that bike and burnt the ground, dude. There was little freaking fires from my feet from the friction of how fast I was running on that ground.
Where'd you run to?
Not really, but I ran around.
You your granny's door's locked.
Right, I ran around all the way to the front door of Granny's house, right? Well, my uncle from California had his dog chained up in the front door, and the dog was barking at me. So I was like, the dog's giving my spot off, right? He's giving so then I just jetted across the highway to my grandpa's shop. Dude, I wish I had all this on video, because I guarantee you.
Were you waiting to get shot any moment?
I guarantee you I was running 35 miles an hour. There's no telling how fast I was freaking running. I ran in my grandpa's shop, dude, and my uncle was in there, and I couldn't even talk. I was like, "There's a guy over there with a gun," and that's what my grandpa heard, was gun, and so
he went and got a gun and went over there and
no. It all happened so fast that he was like, "What? Tell me what happened?" And then here comes Bobby on his bicycle. I mean, it literally happened that fast. Bobby just went outside and was like, "Oh," he saw that it was his brother that I knew very well, which I never saw his brother, because his brother had the rifle in the back seat.
So he's getting out with the rifle ahead of him.
Yes, they had been hunting. They'd been at deer camp the whole time we were at church camp. So every guy in the car I knew, but they all had big beards, and I hadn't been around them a lot. But it was Bobby's uncle, and I hadn't you know, I'd been around him just a few times. So when he had that big beard, I really didn't recognize him. And I hadn't seen him. He didn't come around a lot. But I mean, I did know, but he kept his face hidden from me, you know. And yeah, it was Bobby's brother just
I
getting
bet
out,
those
coming home from
dudes-
deer camp. Oh, dude,
I bet they laughed.
I didn't even want to go around them after that. And it wasn't because I was mad at them for what they did to me. I was just like, I ain't hearing their jokes, you know. Because you know, I was like, Bobby, you're okay, you know, and he was like, what? Where'd you go? You know, he just rolled up on his bicycle, dude. I remember like it was yesterday. He's like, where did you go, Ben? You know, and I said, dude. He was like, that was Jr. and my uncle. I forget his uncle's name. He's like, that was all them. They just got back from deer camp, and I was like, oh my god, dude. My grandpa laughed. I think he laughed for years over that. I mean, he would bring it up quite often. So he thought it was real funny, you know.
I'm sure.
But you know, they lived in a mobile home, and I'll just tell you, you know, little things that you need to do. Okay, little Benny was thinking. Okay, he was on his game when he jumped off the bike because you know couldn't get going too fast on that bicycle. It was time to run, you know. But when I ran, I cut in. You know, when I got to the end of the trailer house, I cut in so they couldn't gun me down. I was like,
yeah.
oh, you messed up now. You know, by the time I got to the end of the trailer house and I cut in and kept going straight, I knew I wasn't getting shot then. But I was worried for Bobby. You know, I was worried, you know, we needed to call 911. And I'm glad my granny wasn't, you know, home or her door was locked. I can't remember. I'm glad because she would have probably had a freaking heart attack, you know, calling. And
Yeah, you're out there screaming as a guy with a gun.
Yes, we'd have called 911 and all that, you know. So it was a good thing. Both, you know, well, the front door was, it was locked. It was always locked, but you know, it was a good
mean
thing
dog
I didn't.
in front of it.
Right. It wasn't even a mean dog. It was just giving my position away.
Yeah.
You know, I thought if I go up to the door now, they're gonna hear this dog bark because they're gonna be after me. With this
See, as a
gun.
kid, I would have never ran from the gun. I don't know why. I mean, I would have.
You would have just stood there and took the shot.
Well, I wouldn't have thought somebody was trying to kill me. I don't know. My mind wouldn't have gone there
You know,
for
that's
some
how
reason.
innocent people get killed, right there, dude.
I guess so.
You gotta keep your head on a swivel. You never know.
But you were how old at this time?
I was probably Caison's age. I was, you know, or I was 10, somewhere in there.
I don't know. I just wouldn't have made a connection. But
well, when you see a gun and it's people you don't know, and you've been in strange situations before, you know. I mean, I have a million stories. When I was a kid, I was at Travis Branscom's house, right? And his parents didn't have a phone.
I hadn't thought about him in years.
I didn't either, and I love Travis. Him and I were very close friends for a long time, and he's a very funny dude.
Yeah.
And but I haven't heard from him or about him or anything, not on Facebook or anything. But anyways, he would go down to Valbuena's house and use the phone. We not normally. But his parents didn't have a phone for some reason, and I don't know why they didn't. But so we went down to Dr. Valbuena's to use the phone to call his mom to see if he could come to my house or something. I forget. But I was at Travis's house up on the hill, South Hill, by the bed and breakfast up in that area.
Yeah.
And so Travis said, man, you need to ride back down to the house and tell Robert where we are, which Robert was his stepdad at the time. You need to tell him where we are. Go tell him that, you know, I'm trying to get a hold of mom or whatever. And I said, okay. So I'm on my bicycle back down, and I almost get to the front door, and I hear a gunshot. And Robert come out, you know, and I was like, hey, we're using the phone. And he goes, did you just hear a gunshot? And I said, yeah, I did. And he said, that was real close. And I was like, I know. It's crazy. So we're looking around and stuff, don't see anything. And I was like, hey, we're down here using the phone. So I go back down, hang out with Travis a little bit, you know, he's using the phone or whatever. It was just a few minutes, and we ride back down. And by the time we ride back down, we see freaking cops everywhere. And so we go in the backyard of Travis's house and look in the backyard where all these cops are, and there's a dead body.
What?
There's a dead body laying right there on the ground. And what happened is an old man had cancer, and it was too far gone. This is what I was told. It was too far gone. He didn't want to suffer. He didn't want his wife to have to deal with him. And I know there are people in the family in my family that know who. I think my uncle told me who he was, but I couldn't tell you his name right now, and
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't, But he killed himself.
God.
He went in the backyard when his wife went to Roy's, the grocery store, and when she left, he went in the backyard and killed himself. And I was right there when he did it.
Wow.
I was just right there. And I heard, and then I go out in the backyard and see what it was. And we were just like standing there and there he was.
That is crazy.
I've never told you that story.
No, I've never heard that one.
Well, that's another, little Benny Klein stories, man. I'm telling you, the weirdest things happen to me, the weirdest things. But
definitely do have weird.
So we've talked about your car. We've talked about the BP Buck.
Yeah.
The monster BP Buck. What was your car? We didn't. I don't.
Oh,
I think you've said what it was beforehand, but
it's a 1971 Pontiac Le Mans G35
G35
or G37.
G37.
No, T37.
I was gonna say, is this an Infiniti?
I've got Infinity cars in my brain, bro.
We've talked about Mars.
Yeah, that was fun.
We've talked
For
about Dustin Parker,
Yep.
the Rover taxi driver,
Mm-hmm.
and Rover's the company. We've talked about the dirt bike. We talked about the guy flying off the hill, man, and almost dying, and I saved his life after I almost cost him his life. I don't feel like I saved his life, but he.
Well, you may very well have.
Well,
Even though you guys were just
that's what the guy told me.
like
He said you saved his
scared
life.
and like going and daring each other to touch him instead of going and getting help.
Well, we didn't really know if you know what I mean. We didn't understand that he was. I don't know. It's kind of hard to. I don't know what was going through my head. I didn't feel like the guy was dying. I feel like I probably would have said something before that.
But I think he was dying,
He absolutely was dying.
and you guys were touching him and running away.
No, I never touched him, but I got
Oh,
real close.
acting like you were.
I got probably 2 inches, and he made that gargle noise or something. I forget what he made.
Scary.
We talked about Miss Mooney. We talked about me smoking her in the back of the head with a buck,
You getting a whooping.
and I got a whipping with a paddle.
I don't even know how many I've had. Well,
And so I think we've done a good job. It's almost 2 hours.
do what we like.
Yeah, we do what we like.
This has been a good one, not too awfully terribly long.
No. And we did our Facebook Live video. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're watching it, go check out our Facebook group. Join it. We haven't turned anybody away.
No,
Not that I know of. Facebook keeps deleting people's posts in there, though.
I saw that.
Which is what we're trying to alleviate. We're trying to clean up the group a little bit, and I don't want to talk about it too much more because we are it's late and we got stuff to do. Okay.
Unfortunately.
I want to do a quick shout out
Okay.
to Braxton Thompson, my little buddy. He's his little brother has been playing sports with Kaysen, so we've gotten, to be pretty good friends with his parents and him. He's my little buddy. He's the boy that was in my bull riding video. He was the one saying, "Dude, what are you waiting for? And why are you not?" He didn't say that, but I know that's what he was thinking. He did laugh at me. But I love him.
Everybody
I still
laughed
love
at
the
you.
kid. Even though I know everybody did. But anyways, he's gotten some. He's received some bad news, some tough news lately. The last few days, he's got a tumor behind his right eye, and he's lost vision in his right eye, and he's lost. I think he has 56% vision, or lot.
So is it pressing on
He's
his
at
optic nerve or
56%
something? Is that why
in
he
his
lost
left
sight?
eye. So he basically can't see. He'll tell you he can see. When I saw this news on Facebook, his parents made a little post or a post about it, and it was shared a ton because this kid, I can't. They listen to the podcast, so uh, I can't say enough about this kid. And I'm not just saying that because he's got bad news. So I'm saying, oh, he's a good kid. This kid is one of the best kids I've ever met. He's very funny, and he's very tough. He's a bull rider. He travels all over riding bulls. And so, anyways, he's gotten some real bad news. And I'll just read to you the update, which is from his mom, Kelly. Didn't exactly get the news we thought. Tumor is bigger than originally thought, and he has some fluid on his brain. They're going to do surgery. And I believe it's on the 16th. Yeah, surgery is the 16th. But they're going to try to go through his nose and get the tumor. And if he can't get it all the way, then they'll have to make an incision. Doctor thinks there's a good chance the fluid will absorb after the tumor is removed. About a week stay in the hospital after the surgery, and stay at home about a month before he can return to school. And the doctor says he's had this for 2 to 3 years, so it's slow growing. Now, he was at Kaysen's, his little brother, they were at practice the other night, and this was the day that we got the news, or the day that I learned about it. And so I just went right up to him, and we started talking about it, and he's just telling me everything about it, and he's like, I can see just fine, And
Well, I'm sure to him, as his eyesight's decreased,
right.
it seems normal to him,
Right.
or whatever.
Yep. He's just adapted, and so I'm like, man, because I went up to him, I was like, hey, I'm ready for one-on-one, because we like to play basketball against each other, while the other kids practice. We'll do 3-point contests or horse or whatever, or one-on-one. And he's like, I can't play there, they won't let. I was like, I know, I'm just kidding, but I could tell he was like, I'm ready to beat you, he wanted to play really bad. But so shout out to him, man. He's thoughts and prayers with him. He's gonna have surgery the 16th, and
definitely pulling for that dude.
Definitely. So,
and we'll definitely be keeping a close eye and ear out for updates on how he's doing, I'm sure.
Definitely. His whole family, man. His little brother's tough. He's one of our running backs, and he's tough. They're all tough, and they're great people. But anyways, so what are you gonna plug? You gonna plug your YouTube channel again?
No, man. I'm gonna plug the our Facebook group.
Okay.
I Don't Drink Coffee Podcast Facebook group. It's a work in progress, and I'm proud of it still yet. It's not exactly what we have in mind right now, but we're heading that way. We're going to keep working at it and molding on it, and at least keep talking about it till, it gets to be what we want it to be. I don't know. I think as long as we stay focused on it, it's going to be good.
Yeah. You gotta stay focused.
It's fun it's a neat way. I loved doing the live video we did tonight because it's direct interaction with people that are paying attention, and that to me it's almost as good as sitting down having a conversation with them. And the beauty of it is I get to do all the talking and they're doing all the listening. No, but
you're absolutely right on that one.
But
that's the way you really feel.
Yeah. No, but it was fun, so I'll plug that.
Go to the Facebook page itself and click add,
so they can
join. Yeah,
they can get a free.
You don't need.
It's private, right?
You can't get a free look unless you are invited. And and a free look is basically how Facebook does groups now. Is when someone invites you, or when you go and send all these invites out to these people, they don't have to join to see what's in the group. So as a member, when you look at other members, just know that there's other people looking too, because those are the people that are invited. So, what we're talking about, we're just trying to clean up the group a little bit.
We've talked about it on the last podcast that we did, and even a little bit in the little live video that we did about the little bit of a culture shift in it or whatever. But I'm proud of it. It's going good.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wanting to plug it, because
the majority of everything that's being posted in there is good.
Oh yeah. Plenty of really funny stuff. Some stuff that's kind of thought provoking. Some of that stuff, that Facebook has a problem with, that I don't necessarily have a problem. It's a weird thing,
Right. Well, the latest one that got deleted? Did you go and look at what was
Yeah,
deleted?
the Twin Towers. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I didn't see that. I saw the well, I won't talk about it, but yeah, there's a different one too. I mean, Facebook's deleting stuff all the time in there.
Yeah, that kind of
And
pissed me off to say that's. Oh no, it said it was sensitive material, and it was just a picture of the Twin Towers. I mean, it was. I'm just like, what's sensitive about? I mean, yeah, it should be. I mean, to me, I mean, you don't want to make it where it's cliche, but at the same time, it should be thought provoking.
right.
I know as a person who was very much alive and pretty much grown when it happened, it's a big deal. I mean, there's plenty of young kids that don't know what we're talking about, or I mean, they know what it is, but they don't realize the severity or the what it felt like when it happened. So it does conjure up some old feelings and that kind of thing. But I disagree with Facebook on. I think it's weird that they would allow so many political things to be said back and forth on there, but yet something that has to do with our nation as a whole, it be sensitive.
Right.
That's irritating to me. You know what I mean? It's like I guess we could do a whole other podcast on that, but I mean, it's just like, what are you trying to build here? What are you trying to teach by doing this? Seems suspect to me. I don't like it. So, and that's not on any of the members. That's on Facebook. You know what I mean? Facebook's the one deciding that crap. So, anyways, yeah, that's my plug. Okay, do your plug.
My plug? Yes. This episode is brought to you by Blackline Insurance Group. Visit blacklineinsurancegroup.com.
.com.
That's my plug, I guess. Even though it is brought to you by Blackline Insurance Group, I should get another plug.
Wouldn't hurt.
I'm gonna plug LJ's YouTube channel.
You just like snarled your nose at me about you plug your YouTube
Search
channel again?
Lucas Johnson, Luke Combs in the search bar. Just space it all out. Lucas Johnson, Luke Combs. You'll go right to his page. Like his page. Subscribe to his page.
I'll take that.
Watch some of his videos. He's got some great songs on there. He's a great musician. He's a great singer. He's beautiful. He's got beautiful blue eyes. And he does a good job. He does what he likes.
What are you gonna do?
So comment on some of his stuff and go to our YouTube page and subscribe to it as well. We have a YouTube page. Every single episode is videoed and put on our YouTube page, along with some other content. We'll probably put the Facebook Live video on there.
I'd rather I myself, whenever podcasts are videoed, I go and watch the video instead of
Well, I was talking
listening to them.
Yeah, and I was talking to Israel the other night, and I said, "So have you listened to any of the new podcasts?" And he goes, "Well, no, I haven't seen it on YouTube yet." I was like, "Oh, so you watch them? Okay."
Yeah.
And so some people, that's the way they like to do things.
I'm the same way. I mean, I listened to it on Anchor, this last one that we did, but I'm looking forward to the video because I like the reactions and stuff that
I'm having issues
get
with
from
the
each
audio
other.
syncing, and once I get that squared away, the audio syncing to the video will be good.
Well, I like them. I like watching the videos. And it's the same reason I like watching other people's podcasts on video because you get to see the
Visually.
reaction back and forth and
Yeah.
that kind of thing like that. So, but anyway, I
Facial
appreciate the plug.
expressions.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Lucas Johnson, Luke Combs,
.com, not really.
I Don't Drink Coffee Podcast on YouTube. I Don't Drink Coffee Podcast group on Facebook. We also have a Facebook page, so like it as well. We'll throw some stuff on there. The ball is rolling.
Keep your eye out for some merch. I feel like that's coming soon.
I hope it comes very soon.
Yeah, I think we need to get on that. That's something it's not bugging me, but it's something I'm excited about doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, we both are. I mean, I'm not a fashion person or anything like that, but I mean, I like clothes, or I don't know how to explain it, dude. I mean, I'm not just taken by that stuff, but I like nice stuff like that, So having something cool to wear, like a hat that has our podcast on it is neat.
Can you imagine walking into somewhere and anywhere and seeing somebody that's wearing the shirt?
No,
I can't either.
I can't imagine anything. I can't imagine. It's shocking to me. It gives me a weird, like, wow feeling whenever somebody talks about something we talked about on here.
Yeah.
even people that we know. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're like, "Oh,
Yes.
dude, whenever da da da." I'm like, "Oh, you listen to it." You
Thank
know?
you for supporting us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I mean, we've got
You forgot to tell me the lady that I met at the wreck, dude. We were going to talk about it in the episode.
oh God, we'll talk about it.
What's her name? Or can I say her name? Should I say her name?
Yes,
She's a football mom.
absolutely. Natalie. You want me to say her last name too?
Well, I wondered if she listens still yet or watches or whatever. That uh, I stopped at a wreck on Thanksgiving that I saw happen, um, and was just trying to make sure everybody was doing okay and all. I didn't want to just drive on by. Nobody was hurt, thank goodness. It was only vehicles that gotten banged up. I mean, of course, everybody shook up and everything, but while I'm standing there, we're kind of going through this stuff. This lady had pulled up and stopped because she was worried like I was about it. She didn't see the wreck happen like I did, but uh, she's being a good
Samaritan?
citizen. Yeah, she's trying to check on people.
Yeah.
And so she comes up there, and I did not know her, unfortunately. She's like, "Oh yeah, I know you. You do the podcast with Ben." And I was like, "What?" I mean, of all things, it was the last thing on my mind, of course. And of course, I shift right into the I Don't Drink Coffee podcast mindset, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we do the podcast and we talk about this. Did you listen to the last one? Blah blah blah." And then all of a sudden, I realized we're standing at a wreck, and that's what we're doing.
And you had to get back into the
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna check on these people, and of course, they drove away before I got a chance to tell her how much I appreciated her, I guess, listening or being involved or even saying something. I mean, it was cool for her to even recognize it. So
right.
I mean, she could have very well just went like, "Oh, is that idiot that does that podcast?" I'm like, "God," But she was nice, very nice about it. It was very nice to meet her.
I pulled up your Facebook, Natalie, and showed him a picture.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, she seems interesting. Maybe we could have her on sometime or something like that. I mean, she's cool. So
oh yeah, she's. We've talked about a few stuff that we've done the podcast on. Or over. It's times like that when people come up to you and they bring up something that you talked about deep into the podcast.
right,
they
actually
sit there and listen.
Yeah.
And it's not that I've ever questioned people because if you listen to 5 minutes of it, I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But it's really awesome when they listen to the whole thing. And
Well, I could tell. I mean, she's somebody that I would probably enjoy being around.
Definitely.
If she didn't have
No-
any
no
idea
doubt
anything
about it.
She
No
seemed
doubt about
really
it.
nice and concerned
yes,
about people.
Yeah.
So that was
yeah,
cool.
because she's pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, I
Are
enjoyed."
you all right, Ben? You seem a little dumb.
No,
No.
no, it's more like I enjoyed the last podcast and I've got some insight and we talk about whatever episode that we were talking about. But yeah, her son's one of our football boys, man, and I call him Mean Joe. His name is Joe,
Oh yeah.
but he's ruthless. I love
Good.
that kid.
Good.
We're really lucky, man, because our baseball, our football, our basketball, all of us are very close knit. I
Yeah.
mean, we're pretty. We all get along. Nobody dislikes anybody, and that's what when you see other teams, you see their parents and they're like, and you hear about the drama that's going on behind the scenes. I don't know why I'm getting off on this, but I'm just saying we all get along and we're all like, I mean,
But you don't meet
we could-
strangers though, dude. You're one of those people that no matter
well,
what.
that's true, but sometimes I don't, but that doesn't mean that other parents are, have to get along. But I
Yeah.
get along with everybody, but I'm just saying we're very fortunate because you see other teams that are put together well, that are good teams, but you hear after the season like there's drama behind the scenes and you're like, wow, I didn't ever suspect that, you
Yeah.
know? So
I've experienced it.
Or expected it.
Unfortunately, some, not near all the time, but there's been a time or two where it's like uncomfortable, that whole thing.
yeah. And
I freaking hate confrontation. with
yeah,
a passion.
and like I said, man, we were real fortunate, and it honestly starts at the top, with Coach Mullins. Honestly, I think, That's
Well,
the way it is.
having a clear cut plan, and he always seems like he's put a lot of thought into whatever he's trying to do, so he knows what direction he's headed in, and that means a lot. When the guy that's at the helm, so to speak, has thought it out, and he's been doing it for years, and there's a lot there that would help make things more comfortable. So I'm sure, yeah, man.
Well, anytime before the season, he'll have all the parents circle around and he just lays it out. This is how it's going to be, and not in a bad way.
Just direct though, and without
right. And
he has some transparency or whatever.
My number is, you have my number. If you don't, you will. We're going to be in a group chat. If you have any issues,
dude, he legitimately, whenever Gavin was a seventh grader or seventh or eighth grade, I can't remember. Anyway, I had his number and I texted him once about something simple. I didn't have a problem with him. I don't remember what it was now. And he answered me. I mean, like quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think we only had one or two. Mostly it was face to face. I'd say, "Good job, coach," or whatever the case may be. But whenever I did contact him, he was real quick to get back with me. I remember that. So I appreciated it. Because whenever you're running your kids all over the place, you want to know what you're about to do, so you can kind of figure out how you're going to do it.
He will say, "Come to me," but he's probably going to stay right where he's at.
There's a reason why
There's a reason why he's where he's at. Doesn't mean later on he won't be quarterback, or doesn't mean later on he's not going to be, this guy or whatever. But right now for the team, this is where I feel like he needs to be.
Well, that's what I say. There's comfort in knowing that some thoughts getting put into it. You know what I mean? Because I have, since my kids have been in youth sports, all their lives, I have seen these times where it's not that, it's like these coaches will have a game plan, but they have a game plan for their kids and their friends' kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and everything else kind of flows around that. Wherever you can poke them in around that is where, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude,
it's blatant what you're doing.
Well, it's, yeah, I mean, all these years.
It's kind of like some of the city politicians in this town. It's blatant what you're doing, bruh.
Yeah.
We all see what you're doing.
Yeah. Don't get too comfortable.
Anyways.
All right. Well, this was a good one.
I didn't really like your have a great day last time.
But I do. How'd I do it?
Have a great day. Okay, have a great day. Like you were put out.
Oh.
With the people.
Not put out with anybody. Put out with myself a little bit, but
you were tired, I know.
Well, all right then. Well, have a great day.
I Don't Drink Coffee Podcast. Love your body.